Hey everybody, welcome back to my poetry page. I have one for you that is not poetry. In fact, I consider this a public service announcement. This is along the topic of religious exemption. So, if you find yourself in a situation, especially if you are a Christian and you are seeking a religious exemption from some sort of mandate, whatever that might be. I think this is solid. I am not a licensed attorney. State that, although one time I did successfully defend my ex-wife in a court of law against a guy who crashed into her car and didn't have insurance. So it's actually a matter of fact that I am batting 1,000 in the realm of state of Texas civil court realm. So that is my experience background. It's not much. I am also a Christian. I want to state for the record that I am a Christian. I believe in Jesus. I've accepted him as my Lord and Savior. I believe he shed his blood. He died for my sins. I believe in the atoning sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. That is my faith. I've read the Bible multiple times, studied it. I'm a sinner. Might even be a bad attorney, but try this on for size. I think the basis for any religious exemption for a Christian is found in the book of Romans in chapter 14. I'm going to let you go read all of that on your own. It's not a long chapter. It ends, here's the last two verses of Romans 14. So whatever you believe about these things, keep between yourself and God. Blessed is the one who does not condemn himself by what he approves. But whosoever has doubts is condemned if they eat, because their eating is not from faith. And everything that does not come from faith is sin. I'll read that last part again, because that is the whole substance of this. Everything that does not come from faith is sin. In context, the Apostle Paul is using specifically eating and drinking, most likely alcohol. He'll talk in later in detail that eating meat versus abstaining from meat. And in context, that's what he's talking about. The verse 22, so whatever you believe about these things, keep between yourself and God. My interpretation is that you're not supposed to try to ram your faith down someone else's throat. Come on, drink it. It's not sinful. Come on. He doesn't want you to do that. He doesn't mean that you can't talk about this issue like I am talking here. He's talking specifically, and he makes it clear in the verses above about making others stumble because of a disparity and imbalance in people's faith. One person has faith that it's a sin to eat animals. You're not supposed to argue with him or try to convince him otherwise, even though you could have proof text, that states your position. It's a personal thing, but yet it ends with everything that does not come from faith is sin, and that is the basis of a religious exemption right there. We all know the Jehovah's Witnesses, for example. They have all their various proof text about blood and life is in the blood, etc. So many have refused to take blood transfusions and gone before the courts and etc. They have that solid stance, as I understand, or they did at some point in time. Some do, but the basis of that points back to this verse. It sort of supersedes even the proof text that they might allude to elsewhere in the Bible. It says it here pretty black and white simple. Everything that does not come from faith is sin. Christianity is unique in that way, in that the opposite of that. Just because you think something isn't sinful doesn't mean that it's not. You know, you may feel no shame going to a nude beach. You may not feel like you're sinning by shacking up with your girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever. But that doesn't make, just because you have that faith that something isn't sin, doesn't mean that it's okay, that it's permissible. On the other hand, this passage is neat in that if you don't have the faith that something is permissible, then it is sin for you. So, you know, I mean, you could spin the book and you could pick out a passage and say, like, using weapons or the sword, you know, and Peter pulled out the sword and cut off the guy's ear. You know, hey, whoever lives by the sword will die by the sword. A person therefore might not have faith that they should ever own a sword or a weapon by extension. And I don't think owning weapons, my faith is that owning weapons is not sinful, it's how you use them. But that person could argue, hey, I don't have the faith to have a sword, because I see nothing. I see swords being used for no good in the Bible, etc. Their rationale is irrelevant. Their proof text is irrelevant. They don't have the faith to do that. For them, it is sin. So I think this is a basis for a strong legal argument, if it ever should come to that a Christian could use about any kind of mandate that they have to do something or else. I think they can claim a religious exemption along the lines of Romans 14, because it all comes down to a matter of faith. I think it's solid. I also believe that if one found themselves in that position with their employer where they had to explain this, it probably would not be so much the substance of their argument, but the way that they express themselves. You know, you need a, hey, look, I do not have faith in this. My faith is sending me warning signals telling me I do not need to do this. I think this is wrong. You are causing me to sin if you go ahead with this. And that's how you do it. I won't claim to be able to predict how that will work out, but I think as a legal strategy, this is a sound argument. This is probably as a sound one as you'll find. Do your own research. I know there's not a lot of, you know, subject matter out there on this. I have already looked. That's when it hit me. You don't have to have it. It is a matter of faith. That's the essence of any religious exemption. You don't have to make up that you're some part of a new denomination with this belief. It is ingrained within Christianity, within the Bible, this basic concept. If you do something that you don't have faith in, it is sin. So you look at the person that's mandating you to do fill in the blank and say, hey, you're going to cause me to sin by doing this. I can't in good faith agree to this. What happens after that, that is on you. But I'm telling you, I think this is sound advice for how a Christian would go about claiming a religious exemption. Let me know if you got a better angle. I would like to hear it. Hey, I hope this helps. Not trying to, you know, stir a bunch of stuff up, but I think it's time people exercise their rights. I'm a big believer in religious freedoms and all of the rights, and I think at some point you have to stand up and make a stand. You have to make your own decision. You have to have your own faith. And I'm not telling you what your faith should be. I'm just telling you that is an angle for you to explore, and that's all I'm telling you. Hey, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Click that like and subscribe button combination.